Episode number 3, the hat trick. Welcome back to Fine Leg to Full Forward. We're here again, and if you're hearing this, we're glad you are too.
Yep. Huge thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're glad to be back.
Yes, we are. One step closer to a reunion as well, mate. Victoria opening back up again. A lot of relief around the state as things start to normalise. Being able to see family, friends, being able to get back to all the little things that we wouldn't normally think about, that we almost take for granted. We've just got to wait for the metro regional barrier to be lifted so that, you can make your way back out of Gippsland way, and we'll be back together again, able to figure out an actual setup for the show, which, I can't wait for. Now, I know life hasn't really quite been as locked down for you out there, has it? But have you enjoyed being able to be out and about a bit more?
Yeah, it's look, I've definitely been one of the lucky ones throughout this whole sort of thing, mate. First off, I was able to work from home right from March onwards. So I've been lucky in that sense to hold on to my job. But then also I've been living in Inverloch, which is in South Gippsland. So we definitely haven't been as restricted. We never hit stage 4. So look, it's been good. To be honest, even at the best of times, I don't normally think of myself as a huge traveling sort of person that goes out.
You never have been.
That goes out and about heaps. But I think it's one of those mental things. It's sort of if you have the option of being able to go somewhere, regardless of if you go or not, it's still nice to have that option just for your own sort of sanity.
You'd rather be the one saying no than being told no.
Correct. Yeah,
absolutely. No, it's been good, man. I mean, I haven't returned to any pubs or restaurants or anything yet. I assumed it'll all be booked out pretty much straight away, so probably didn't try as much as I should, to be honest. But being able to see the family again has been great. Spending time with them, having mums cooking again, just been unreal. Well overdue, and I hope that we as Victorians keep heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough again to sort of be with mum and dad throughout everything. I think being down here, having company makes a world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
But saying that, I am looking forward to seeing you, mate, in person, so we can.
Stop it.
So we can start talking about the cricket season.
Yes, but, not too far away, mate.
But sticking with footy for the minute.
Before we get there, yes, spot on.
There's been quite a bit happening post-season, right?
There has been, mate. Obviously, the trade and free agency periods are in full swing. I don't know about you, but I cannot believe some of the moves that have taken place, or are rumored to be taking place. It almost feels like a career mode on FIFA or a My League simulation on 2K, or well, I don't know if AFL Evolution have an equivalent, to be honest. But there's been a fair bit of action, and as we'd all be aware, some surprises, really, if we were to think back to the start of the year and take some guesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, lots of these things you just can't guess. I mean, like, for example, obviously, Adam Treloar being told that he's no longer required by the Pies. Just reading through some of that stuff seems quite brutal.
It seems to be getting uglier. Like, the more that emerges, it's just getting worse and worse. I don't know how much of it is actually true.
That's true,
man.
Also, you've got Joe Danaher talking about things he can't guess. Most people thought he would be going to the Swans the whole year and then going to the Lions, and then Isaac Smith going to in terms of going to clubs. The least likely club that you would expect. He's going to the rivals. So
the old enemy, yeah. I couldn't believe that. Still not sure how I feel about the pickup. I reckon he'll bring more good than bad. I was shocked he chose us, to be honest. And I can't imagine too many Hawthorn fans being too happy with it, to be honest. Plenty move in this trade period, as we mentioned, which has kind of inspired this week's question, to be honest. But it's mostly centered around an article that I came across on the AFL website. Now, this is going back a fair way, but Essendon great Matty Lloyd recently revealed, that would have been sort of mid last week, that the Bombers came real close to signing Wayne Carey and Jason Ackermanis in 2002. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this was around the time when shit was hitting the fan with the Kangaroos when Carey was on his way out.
Yeah, you'd be right. There was, me being a North fan, I'm still a bit. Obviously, I respect him as a legendary player of the club, but yeah, you're definitely right. There was shit was definitely hitting the fan.
Yeah, we're not going to get into it. I'm sure we all remember most of it. If not, you can Google it if you really want to know. Now, at that point, he was probably past his best, but there's no denying, Duck's talent was still there. If we think more recently, we've seen his goal kicking in the EJ Witten Legends game since then. He's still got it. You don't really lose that. And the other side, Acker, he won the Brownlow in 2001, and he was fresh off a couple of flags. And we all know what Matty Lloyd's capable of. So, you combine them together, a forward line featuring Lloyd, Carey, and Ackermanis. It got us thinking, didn't it, mate?
Sure did, mate. And I mean, given that this show is all about the what ifs, we thought we'd delve quite deep into that, and thought the question for this week would be, if you could sort of get a couple of players together as a unit, forward unit, midfield unit, defensive unit, if you could disregard teams, generations, whatever, if you could put a couple of players together, take your pick, who would you go for?
It is a bloody good one this week, mate. We love these type of questions, don't we? As you mentioned last week, we're going to have these kind of conversations off air without the cameras anyway. And yeah, we've always just bloody loved this hypothetical stuff, where there's no right or wrong answer. And we can just talk absolute garbage for hours, can't we?
Yeah, we sure can. And it's obviously extremely subjective, as most of this what if stuff is.
You're going on the defensive real early there.
Yeah. Don't hate me once again. But I think that's what makes it special, in the sense that it's not one particular thing. You can take it in any direction you want.
Yeah, so we thought we'd split it up a bit. So this week, inspired by the thought of Lloyd, Carey, Acker in the same forward line, we're going to be going through forwards. Then next week we'll do mids and then defenders. Now we can think about this any way you like, as Ashwin's kind of alluded to. Past players, current players, a mix of the two. The only limit is the imagination, and Ashwin, you're probably better off in that department than me. So how do you want to do it? Do you want to do the dynamic duo? Do you want to do two talls and a small? What are you thinking?
Probably just a dynamic duo, I reckon.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. All
right. Well, I reckon this first combination is going to be pretty hard to beat. I'm going real hard, real early here, mate. Tony Lockett and Eddie Betts. That's not bad. Let's just sit on those names just a little bit.
Let it sink in.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly right. Obviously, all footy fans know that Plugger has kicked the most goals in VFL, AFL history. So we can't not be mentioned, to be honest. The bloke was an absolute freak. His record still stands. It's, 1,360 goals from his 281 games, just shy of 5 goals a game for his entire career. That's ridiculous. He remains the only full forward to win the Brownlow. He's 5-time All-Australian, 4-time Coleman medalist. I think the only surprising stat really was that he only won 3 best and fairest in his 17 and a bit year career.
Yeah. I mean, that is probably the only surprise there. I mean, everything else is just, it's breathtaking. It actually is breathtaking when you say that, like 281 games, 1,360 goals. I just can't, no matter how many times I look at that statistic, I find it so incredible.
Some of the numbers just don't seem right, do they? Kind of remind you of some of the NBA records Wilt Chamberlain holds. It's like that doesn't seem human, and that's never being touched. Like we can just There's no getting around that.
Or going back to your, you're talking about your my career player on bloody 2K or FIFA or something. It's when you change the settings so it's a lot easier, and then you just go to town.
Absolutely. I mean, he cracked the 100-goal barrier in his career 6 times, but I think it was 91. He kicked 127 goals in 17 games, which is an average of 7.47 goals a game. It's insane. Not only that, like he followed it up with 132 goals the next year. It's just bonkers, man. Like it's I know it's such a different game now, but we're never going to see anything like that. And as we said, that it's a record that's just never going to get touched.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think we mentioned it in the first show, and we might have said it last week as well. Obviously, it is tough when you compare different generations, when you compare the modern era and that era. But regardless, you just have to accept it. It's almost like Bradman, looking at Don Bradman, like regardless of comparing modern players to that level of skill, it's still, you just have to take a step back and just go, wow.
Yeah, just stand there and applaud. Not much else you can do. And then you've got, alongside him, I've chosen Eddie Betts, as I said. And what can't that man do? Like, he can kick a goal from absolutely anywhere. I remember it was his first stint at Carlton, going back a few years, but he kicked a banana from the pocket on such a ridiculous angle. I think it might have been goal of the year that year, but everyone just went nuts because like they'd never really seen it that too much of that goal kicking before. It's certainly not as common as it is now, the snaps and the bananas. He was just one of the pioneers to that side of the game.
Yeah, I mean, and his stats, I mean, he's got stats to back him up as well, but much like, not like player, but he's got his own stats, 4-time goal of the year winner, 4-time leading goal kicker for the Crows, 3-time All-Australian in his time. And but both his time at Carlton and Adelaide, they've both been sensational.
Yeah, I think he's got to be one of the best Indigenous players ever, and he's certainly one of the best small forwards ever. He's got to be up there, but man, you put those two together in your forward 50, and you're kicking a winning score. It's hard to argue with that. So I've gone, one tall, one small. I reckon that's a pretty good combo.
Yeah, I reckon it's a bloody good one to start. I've gone one sort of key position tall, and I guess a small as well. I've gone with, I mean, when you think about it, there's just so many that we could have picked from. Like, I feel like if you ask the same question on a different day, you'll almost get different responses because there's so many. You'll think of a different name each day. But I was thinking about it today, and I think ready for some more hate. I think a Nick Riewoldt and Peter Dacos combination would be insane.
Ooh, that's an excellent shout.
So obviously you've got St Kilda legend, Nick Riewoldt, extremely talented key position forward for St Kilda, but also I very highly rate his work outside the 50, and with his, especially just setting up targets inside 50, I thought that part of his game was immaculate. And then when you team him up with Peter Dacos, you were talking about kicking goals from all sorts of angles. I think the real pioneer was probably Peter Dacos. He was incredible at those snaps, and just whenever he had the ball, you thought he was a chance of kicking it regardless of where he was. So that would probably be my my dynamics duo for today.
It's a bloody good one, mate. Yeah, just the engine that Riewoldt had. Like he'd get out there and he'd just run from siren to siren. Like there was no stopping him. He's always had the heart of a lion. And as you said, one of the more impressive parts of his game, obviously, he's kicked a number of goals in his career. But yeah, the work he did outside the 50, setting up his teammates. So, him getting it into Dacos. Yeah, that's not a bad tandem.
That's it.
Not bad at all. Another combo for me would be pairing up a couple of Hawthorn legends. The Chief, Jason Dunstall, and Cyril Rioli, Mr. Delicious himself. I've gone the tall, small combo again. There's not much the Chief didn't accomplish. 1,200 plus goals. 4 flags is an integral part of that Hawks dynasty we've spoken about before. Coleman's, All Australians. One that impresses me, though, is he was Hawthorn's leading goal kicker every year from 1986 to 1998, apart from one, which is just ridiculous consistency. I mean, what a machine.
Absolutely. Like, the consistency is the perfect word. It's unbelievable, mate. What similar to looking at Plugger's stats as well. It's sort of, I'm not sure how many games the Chief played, but
yeah, not sure off the top of my head.
Regardless, 1,200 plus goals. It's
Yeah.
just incredible, and 4 flags to top it off as well.
Yeah, but then consider Rioli. I mean, he speaking of machines, he was an excitement machine, wasn't he? Never really needed too much of the footy to influence the game, but wowee, you knew when he left his mark. Part of another Hawks dynasty, winning 4 flags, 2008, and then the three-peat that we've spoken about before. He does have one bit of proof, doesn't he, of how we can influence a game, winning the Norm Smith in 2015. He was a magician, and you didn't always need Bruce McAvaney to tell you.
That's right, delicious. I think we were talking about last week. We were talking about hype and X Factor, and we brought up Dusty Martin, and I think Cyril's just another name that someone that's born with that X Factor, the ability to just turn it on at clutch moments and take the game away from someone else is just undeniable. And he's definitely someone that had that 100%.
Yeah, you combine his X factor with Dunstall's, pace and explosive ability to lead into space. It's another pretty handy dynamic duo there, mate. But yeah, guys listening, let us know your thoughts. As I've mentioned before, slide into our DMs on Insta at fine leg to full forward. Tell us your dream forward combination, whether you go a tall and a small, 2 towers up front, whatever you want. Let us know. As we mentioned as well, next week we're doing mids as well, defenders. We'd love to hear your thoughts on them as well in the lead up to next week's show. Alrighty, moving on. It is that time of the week again. We're doing footy folklore retold. If you're still listening at this point, chances are you've heard us explain this before, but I'm going to be commentating over a well-known footy highlight, and Ashwin's got to try and guess the moment. Ashwin had an interesting tactic last week, not commentating at all for the first half of his clip. It was, one way to go about it.
I think Richie Benno had an incredible quote. I can't remember it exactly, but it was something along the lines of, don't tell the people what they see. Don't tell.
This is going real well. Yeah.
I'll cook this up as well.
This segment just isn't for you, mate.
How about you just do it every week and you win the commentator hands down, and I'll just try to guess.
Not at all. No, you're not getting away with it that easily. We need to see improvement. The people want improvement.
We've got to give the people what they want.
That's it. As we said, show the people. All right, but before we get into that, there's something we've just got to address. Now, this didn't click for either of us until it was pointed out by, and I actually, for the first time, I actually mean this, a very good friend of the show, Mr. Kynan Wilcox. In the first episode, I'd chosen Robbie Gray's match-winning goal from 2 or 3 years ago. which was a great highlight. And last week, Ashwin chose the ball bouncing the wrong way in the 2010 drawn grand final, which was a questionable highlight, but I'd concede that it's a big footy moment. So,
Big moment.
that's it. But what's just clicked for us is the fact that both those moments led to heartbreak for St Kilda fans. And that's where Kynan's grievances lie, being a lifelong Saints fan. So I copped a message from him Wednesday night or Thursday morning last week saying, another Saints heartbreaker on the commentary, and you've lost yourself a loyal listener.
Shout out to Kynan. This just proves that we are a show for the people, right?
Yeah, when you're not trying to piss them off. So I've been very careful this week. I came very close to choosing another tough moment for Saints fans, just for the shits and gigs. But we've mentioned show the people, so we're not going to go out of our way to lose those loyal listeners. But Kynan, I'm not going to lie, mate, it was close. But just to be safe, I've steered away from Saints games altogether. All right, you ready?
Hit me.
I'll see if I can follow up my efforts from the first episode, because I'm not taking any tips from you. All right, let me get this up. As I mentioned, all energy. All right, you ready? I'm going for it. All righty. Jetta marks right on the 50. 90 seconds left. Swans are up by 4. He puts his hand up and says, I'm going to go back and kick this. Clarko is fuming. And have a look at Horst Longmire. He knows it's not over, but they're in a really good position here, the Swans. Jetta milking the clock, sucking in the big ones here. He's trying to use his full measure. He's usually a long kick, but I reckon this is going to test him. He approaches. He gives it all he's got from 55. Has it got the journey? Oh, it's fallen short, but the pack flies in the goal square. Kennedy Crumbs tackled by Sewell. Parker and Hodge around the ball. Goodsy's there too. All righty, we've got a ball up deep within the Swans forward 50. They still lead it by 4. Clarko looking anxious. Horst has had that phone in his hand all day. Alrighty, the Hawks are doing everything they can to set up defensively. Less than a minute to go. Umpire bounces it. Hale probably wins the tap. Kennedy again. Savage fumbles, taken by Hanbury. Handballs. Malcheski snaps. Going. It's a goal! The Swans are up by 10, and that is game over. The cup is heading back to Sydney. Have a look at them. Swans fans rejoice. Cheer, the red and the white.
2012, right? 2012, Granny?
2012, yeah. Malcheski's game winner.
Oh, what a moment.
No, hold on. My commentary first, please.
Oh, incredible.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All, as you say, all energy. Am I supposed to stop? Because I knew, actually, this shows how good your commentary was. I knew what moment it was, but I didn't want to stop you because I wanted you to.
I don't know if I believe that. That's a pretty good cover story. When do you reckon you knew from?
Oh, right from, when I heard Jetta marking it, going back, and then when I
heard the very start.
When you said Clarko's fuming, or something like that, I was like, Jetta, Clarko.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't trying to make it difficult.
Nah, mate. I feel like we should change this segment and then just go the whole way. You just go the whole way, and then if I still don't know by the end of it, then you can just make me look like an idiot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, when we're recording together, I'll just slap you for not getting it. Easy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So that was Malcheski's game winner, the 2012 grand final. Yeah, not a bad one. What do you got, mate? What do you got?
I have got this segment that we call the who does that not very recognizable player, who do they play for? We probably should come up with a name, shouldn't we?
We absolutely have to. So you're not a fan of which team, bro?
Which team, bro?
All right, we'll change that.
All right, I've got a player for you. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I've got a name and a number.
Yep.
James Jordan.
Ooh,
Number
that's a bloke with two first names.
Number 23. Is he the love child of LeBron James and Michael Jordan?
Shit. Oh, yeah. I was like, I knew it was going to be well worded, but then you started with love child. I'm like, what the hell? Where's he going with this, mate? Yeah.
All right, no. Is he a young and dangerously quick small forward for Port Adelaide? Is he a tall and athletic fullback for North Melbourne? Or is he a versatile defensive midfielder for the Melbourne Demons? James Jordan, number 23.
See, when I picked last week, I almost put in a North Melbourne option just to see if I could catch you out, just to see how well you knew your own list. I don't know. James Jordan. I kind of wish he was the love child of LeBron James and Michael Jordan. What a machine that guy'd be. So it was Port, North, or the D's?
Yeah, small forward for Port, fullback for North Melbourne, or defensive midfielder for the D's.
See, this could be a double bluff because you know how I always go C. But you know that I know that you know. So I'll go B. I go North.
North Melbourne. It's C.
You got me. You got me.
It's funny because I thought about it. I put it as B, and I put the North Melbourne as C, just because I was like, he's going to say something about C, but then I was like, but wait, he's going to double think C.
Yes.
And he's going to go for B.
I'm not pissed I got it wrong. I'm pissed you got me. Damn it. No, well played. Well played. That's frustrating.
Got to get some wins, mate.
That's it. So I'm going to go C again next week, just a forewarning.
Yeah.
So do with that what you will.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah. All right, moving on. I've got all around the socials this week. So I've been snooping through social media, trying to find the funniest posts and tweets and comments and whatever from the past week. So the first one is a tweet from Frank Veschio, who replied to Essendon's tweet announcing the news that they would not be matching Brisbane's offer for Joe Daniher. You're probably aware Bombers will receive pick 7, which a lot of people can't really get their heads around, considering the Hawks got pick 19 for Buddy in his prime. Anyway, not the point.
Yeah.
So old mate Frank, he posted a lovely picture of his daughter holding her autograph book next to Joe Daniher. And she looks like she loves Essendon, like head to toe in red and black, and like smile on her face, which makes me think that Joe is or was, I might have to reach out and see if it's still the case, her favorite player.
Yeah.
Now, it's a very nice photo, but Frank has edited it by putting a big number 7 right on Daniher's face and written, not only that, he's written pick 7 over the top of Joey's signature. Now he's not overly happy with the news there, but that's a very funny reaction. That's not bad.
Jeez, that's funny.
Yeah, a lot of Essendon fans happy with the compensation there.
Yeah, pick number 7.
Yeah. Now this one is from Reddit. Now it's a post in the AFL subreddit. Someone just shared a tweet by Jay Clark from the Herald Sun. He just posted about Isaac Smith when the news broke about him wanting to join the Cats or joining the Cats. I'm not sure at what point it was. Now the initial comment on the post is pretty funny itself. Someone wrote, Geelong doing their best to become an aged care facility. which is a good shout to begin with, right? But someone then, someone replied by the username already in my pajamas, which is a vibe. But they replied, obviously a Geelong fan, just praying we've got a COVID-19 vaccine before the boys start up with preseason. Which made me laugh. That's a good one. Shout out to already in my pajamas.
What a tag.
That's not a bad shout out. That's not a bad one. I've got one more from you, for you rather. It's a tweet from Mr. Andy Lee himself on Monday morning. Now we all love Andy Lee. It's probably the first time, another first on this podcast where I found myself saying I'm a fan of his show.
Yeah, okay.
He's a fan of the show.
Yeah.
But at the time of his tweet, Victoria went 3 days in a row with donuts in terms of new COVID cases, which is, we're all loving that news. But Andy said it's the best hat trick by a Victorian since this. And he posted, any guesses what he posted?
Peter Siddle.
Peter Siddle's hat trick on his birthday, which is a pretty good shout. I got to give him that. It's not bad at all.
Have you? This is definitely taking a bit of a turn. But have you watched Peter Siddle's hat trick with Titanic music in the background?
Yeah, it's good. It's a good bit of YouTube.
Time for last segment.
You've got on the siren, haven't you? I believe.
Sure
Unless
do,
you've not done it this week, it's up to you.
No, I've done it. But I've changed things up slightly this week, mate.
Oh, can't wait.
All right. So instead of on the siren, the last couple of weeks, we've sort of said, your team's down by 3 points, 4 points, whatever it is. One of your players marks it at 40 out, 45-degree angle, slight angle. And we've given each other 3 players that you wouldn't normally associate with goal kicking to get the job done and win the game. This week, I've flipped it. So in my head, I'm imagining sort of a Leo Barry situation, if you will. So there's a few seconds running down on the clock. Your team is up, but definitely not by much. The key position forward of the opposition team just got clear. They're about to take a mark, 20 out. There's a few seconds left on the clock. Which of these 3 players is going to stop the key position player from marking it? Who's going to make a contest, spoil, punch, do whatever it needs to be done? Which of these 3 players?
I don't suppose Leo Barry's going to be one of the options, is he?
No. Unfortunately not.
Yeah.
So I've gone with 3 players that were normally associated as, I guess, forwards or small forwards. So not your normal picks for defenders. So who's going to make a contest? Who's going to spoil? We've got North Melbourne legend, Brent Harvey.
Cool.
Geelong small forward, Matthew Stokes.
Ooh.
Fremantle forward / midfielder, Michael Walters. Which of these 3 relatively small players is going to make a contest and save the game?
And I can't pick none of them.
Unfortunately not.
No. Wait, so it was Boomer, it was Matthew Stokes, and it was Michael Walters.
Yeah. Boomer, Stokesy, and Walters, yeah.
Yeah, now when we've had these before, we've really tried, thinking long and hard about this. But I think this one, I think I'm going to go Michael Walters just because I reckon he's got the best hops. Like, I reckon he'd be able to get up the highest and force a contest, take a mark, make a spoil. Yeah, not going to think too long and hard of that one. I reckon that's
fair enough. I guess you could think of it if you flip it around and you're a forward and you take a specky or something, you obviously need hops for it. So you could just
That's exactly the way I've gone with it, man.
yeah. I like your thinking, mate.
What would you think?
I feel like all of those players have hops in that sense where they could. I've definitely seen Boomer and Stokesy and Walters obviously take pretty marks up forward.
You're just trying to find a way to say Boomer without seeming too North Melbourne.
Maybe. I'll go with Walters as well.
No, you don't have, just because I said it. Like, you can disagree.
Do you want me to say Stokes?
You can say whoever you want, man. It's your question. Why are you freaking out at your own question?
I'll go Boomer because I love him.
You go put right. There you go. Bloody biased son of a bitch. Now, let us know what you guys would do. Clearly, one of us is trying to be unbiased. Yeah, we wouldn't mind a neutral opinion on the matter. Yeah, let us know your thoughts. Alrighty, just before we go, as we've alluded to, plenty going on in the cricket world as well, mate. WBBL has returned, as we mentioned last week, and the Sheffield Shield back in full swing. We've already seen some incredible performances. Shout out to Will Pukovski and Marcus Harris for setting a record for a Sheffield Shield partnership. Hasn't been too bad of a year for sport for Victorian teams.
Absolutely. I mean, well, obviously, the Melbourne Storm winning the NRL. You've got Richmond winning the flag and the
Vixens in the netball.
Absolutely. And the Vics getting off to a pretty good start in the Sheffield Shield. I caught a little bit of the WBBL on the weekend as well. Heather Knight, not sure if you're aware, the England captain. She was phenomenal for the Sydney Thunder on the weekend. I think she hit something like 83 off about 40 odd balls. One over went for about 4 sixes.
Jeez, yeah.
So very exciting and entertaining stuff. And the Sheffield Shield is progressing quite well. An absolute cracker of a game between Queensland and New South Wales. It went right down to the wire.
Yeah, it was 1 wicket, wasn't it? The result that Blues won by 1 wicket.
Yeah, Blues won by a wicket in the end, but quite low scoring, tight cricket, which is my favourite type of cricket.
No, they're the best. They do tend to be the more exciting games. Yeah, I mean, as good as Pukovski and Harris, as good as it was seeing them to bat, and the game ended as a draw. Which, I mean, take out that we will. But I mean, Pukovski is going to be a star for years to come, and we've seen glimpses of what Harris can do. We've also had the Aussie ODI squads announced to take on India, which is shaping up to be a massive series. Cricket season is gaining momentum, and we will be making the transition to that before long. So we can't wait, and we hope it's the same for you too. We've just got to figure out the transition exactly, but we'll get there.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, I'll be honest, my cricket knowledge far surpasses my footy knowledge. So I'm very much looking forward to actually slightly knowing what I'm talking about.
Mate, stop it. It just means that you know so much about cricket because you know plenty about footy. Stop that right now. Stop it. But yeah, that's all we've got this week. Thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to reach out and let us know your thoughts, whether it be on your dynamic duos for your ideal forward line, as we mentioned before, or feel free to beat us to the punch on your midfielders or your defenders. We always want to hear from you.
Absolutely, and send through some pointers on how to commentate so I can prepare better for next week.
Yeah, I'm not making any promises, but he's got to improve, right? He's got to. All righty, have a great week, guys. Keep kicking goals.